There we go. Excellent.
Yay!
There we go. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Do you want to just hit that spotlight on me just to make sure that we don't have a recording which has got the wrong bits in it? Because that's happened to us all and it's always annoying.
Okay, what do I want to hit?
So you want to hover over my little square and click the three dots and click spotlight.
Gosh, it's not allowing me to.
Oh,
Oh, there it is. Spotlight for everybody.
yes.
All right.
Perfect.
There you are.
Gosh, that's rather bright. My my camera is a bit bright there. Okay, awesome. So thank you very much for inviting me. And I love spending time with demonstrators. As Linda just said before, I have a Facebook group, Tech Help for SU Demonstrators, and I when I can fit in Zoom calls, it's great rather than just doing live streams because I'm sure those of you that do videos will know it's a little bit different. It's like, you do your live video or you do your video and you know that you're talking to people, but you can't see them, you can't interact as much with them. It's much nicer to be on a Zoom call with everyone. So I do not believe in standing on ceremony in when I'm doing these sessions. So if when I go through you have questions, interrupt me. Because those of you who have seen any of my videos or have done sessions with me before will know that I don't tend to pause for breath. So you're going to want to shout and interrupt me before I've kind of like gone on to the next thing. I will try and make sure that things are going, I'll try and keep things slowly, a bit slower, but I do get a bit excited about stuff. So please interrupt and ask questions, and there'll be, plenty of time towards the end to ask questions. So what I've been doing for DBWS over the last I think maybe 3 or 4 years, 3 years, is doing a monthly co-working session where I've spent 3 hours with a group of demonstrators showing them everything that I know that DBWS can do. That's not what we're doing tonight. Sorry. Well, probably good. You don't want to be with me for 3 hours this evening. But what I'm going to do is that in my group is going to change into being pre-recorded videos with a monthly drop-in help session. Okay, so watch out for that. I'm telling you that I'm doing it for a little bit of an accountability. But well, don't hold me to it next month. Give me a little bit of time to do it. Um, so that's going to be what that is. So there's going to be more opportunities for this kind of like chat about DBWS. So hopefully that's going to be useful. And then I thought, well, what do I want to do tonight? If I only had like a limited amount of time, what do I want to make sure that you can be able to do? So I've thought of 3 things that I think you absolutely must do and must know about when it comes to DBWS. So I want to talk about that, and then we can have a bit of time at the end where it's just kind of questions. So you can ask me, what about this? What about that? And I can cover a few more things as well. A few of the things I have detailed videos on. So I will probably just show you briefly, and then I will kind of like direct you to a video that I've done in detail. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen, and the first thing is for me to get the right browser window up. There we go. Okay. So we have 2 different ways of logging into DBWS. This isn't one of the things. This is just introduction. So you can obviously get to DBWS through the Stampin' Up website. So my DBWS subscription is actually in the UK. So you're going to see slightly different terminology for some things because you're seeing the British version. So what we hopefully all know that we can do. I love these new pop-ups, although no, I didn't want to click that. I apologize. I thought that was the dismiss. There we go. Um, so what we have is under menu, we have the option to go to DBWS here. Okay, so that's one way of getting through to DBWS. Now, those of you that are team leaders, if you do not have a DBWS subscription, then that page there is where you get information about DBWS. So your new team members, particularly over the next month, when they click on that, they will get an information page about DBWS. And to be fair, if I log in very quickly to the American site, I can just show you what that looks like. Because sometimes it's nice to know what people are seeing, but of course, we can't see it because we're already subscribed. So under the same option, if you do not have DBWS, this is what you are shown. So you are given this description of what's included. Okay. You're given the prices and information, and then you're given FAQs and all of this. Okay. So that's really clear for new demonstrators. Okay. And hopefully we're all going to be getting lots of new demonstrators this month. Okay. Let me log out before this gets confused. Okay, so one way of getting to that dashboard is if you have a subscription, this DBWS option here. The other way is going straight to stampinup.net. So you'll know that your URL for your DBWS is something.stampinup.net. You can actually log in directly by going to stampinup.net. Now, it really depends on how you run your business as to whether you'd ever use this option in your browser. If you're the kind of demonstrator that just the first thing you do is always logs into the demonstrator website, then you're not going to necessarily use this on desktop. But if you're the kind of person who maybe doesn't do that and might just work on DBWS, then you might use this login. Now, the login for this, and this is a major confusion, is your demo ID and your password. Okay, so it's the old way of logging into the demonstrator website. Okay, and when this is also important is for the app. So there is a resource library app. It's not a DBWS app and it's not an ordering app. It lets you access the resource library part of DBWS easily on your phone. Now, of course, you can log in and manage DBWS as a website on your phone, but the app in particular makes navigating the resource library easier. And again, this is the login that you need for that app. It's your demonstrator ID and the same password. Okay. But that gets you through as well, although I don't need to log in because I'm already logged in. But that gets you through to the right, as it helpfully tells me, that gets you through to the right page. Okay. So this is our dashboard, and this is kind of like where we get to a couple of different tools. And now we have the QR code generator. There's a different tool there. So we've got links to the link generator, QR code generator, our calendar. The bit that I want to focus on is the website. So it's the website that faces the customer. Now, one thing that a lot of people say whenever anyone starts talking about DBWS is nearly always, I don't get any customers from the website, or I've never had a demonstrator sign up from my website. Okay. And I think what we all need to remember is that DBWS isn't just the website. And for those of you that are saying, oh, I have DBWS, but I never use it, you are probably using it without realizing, or not realizing, but without kind of like linking together the fact that you are benefiting from that subscription. So keep in mind that the DBWS subscription, yes, it does get you the website, but it also gets you personalized shopping links. So if you are using personalized shopping links on your blog or website, and your customers are using that for ease of use to be able to purchase from you, then maybe your DBWS subscription is doing enough for you without you using the website. Okay. Keep in mind as well that when people search for a demonstrator, if you do not have DBWS, they can only search for you by name. For them to be able to search by location, you have to have a DBWS subscription. Okay. Now, again, people will say, oh, no one's ever come to me through the search. That really very much depends on where you are and whether there are lots of demonstrators that come up in that search at that same time. I would say that, so for those of you that were listening at the start, I'm a demonstrator in the UK and the US, which isn't very sensible. It just means I spend an awful lot of money on craft supplies. But I have, over the last year, had customers randomly through my DBWS in the UK to keep me active. sorry, probably about the last 2 years or so, I've been getting enough random orders through my DBWS to keep me active. Um, and that's because geographically, where I'm listed at living at home, there aren't a lot of demonstrators where I am. So it just means that I am lucky enough that being in the locator does bring me business. Okay. So that's one that you do have to keep in mind, that sometimes some people are just lucky and some people are unlucky. And I think that that kind of idea, oh, I never get any leads, to be honest, if you're relying on DBWS to bring you leads, you're leaving things on the table because it's not enough on its own to build a business. You're not going to get enough leads from that to build a business. Because even I'm saying I had enough orders to keep me current. That's not a business. You know. Um, so keep in mind that there are different elements of DBWS that you could be benefiting from. That, and one of them I'm going to show you today, the resource library. That the website may not be a big part of your business. I'm looking at the people on the call and I'm going to pick out people that I've been maybe talking to recently. We've got Lee, we've got Kim, we've got Linda, we've got Lisa. I'm sure others of you as well, but I definitely know about you guys. You've all got your own websites. And managing those websites takes an awful lot of time and effort. And DBWS is maybe it's not your main website and you don't want it to be your main website. It's kind of like your safety net. It's like if people get to you through your DBWS, then that's great. But you're not going to take all that effort that you put into your own website and either duplicate it and put the same amount of effort into DBWS, or even you might not want to do a fraction of it for DBWS. But that doesn't mean that you're necessarily wasting the money, and it isn't something that you should feel guilty about. Okay. Not that I'm the kind of person, not that I'm in a place to tell you what you should and shouldn't feel guilty about. None of us. No one should tell you that. You should decide yourself. We shouldn't feel guilty about this. But anyway, um, and there are lots of demonstrators out there. There are lots of top performing demonstrators, very active demonstrators, especially if they have their own website, that they might have worked on their DBWS 2 years ago and they haven't made any changes to it since. And it's good enough. Okay. But if it is your only website, then there's lots that you can be doing to make sure that you are benefiting from it. Okay. I'm going to pause for questions just in case we've got any before we went on. Anything? No. Okay. So, we are going to focus on editing. And what I really wish they would do is make this button an awful lot bigger, because to edit your DBWS website, you have to scroll down, get to the My Site section, and you either have to notice this tiny little edit button, or you can click in here, and then once more, you have a tiny little edit button. Okay, so it would be really great if they could just make that an awful lot bigger and more obvious. One thing I'm also going to say is that when it comes to stats like this here, um, I never really trust stats like this unless I know exactly what's counting them, because I do not believe that in the last 60 days I have had 6,000 people visiting my websites, because I don't share this anywhere, and I don't think that's possible. So I don't believe these stats because I don't know how it's being counted. Okay. So yeah.
Catherine, where did you find the edit button? I'm trying to, your screen is so small on my
Oh, I'm
screen, but I
sorry.
have another computer and I
Oh,
pulled
okay.
up BWS on it.
Okay. So have you got to this page?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. So just scroll down, keep scrolling, and then it should be on the
I'm
left.
looking for those cards. Okay.
Those retired cards. Yes.
Oh, my site. Okay. And there's an edit something there?
There's an edit one. So if you look underneath the URL, there's a little tiny pencil in a square.
Oh my word, I would have never found that.
As I say, it needs to be about 10 times bigger.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
There we go. We've got the edit button. So once we click to edit, did I just click? I think I did. Yes. Okay. We get to our kind of like, it's our preview. So it's a preview of the website. One thing I would say is don't always trust the preview. Sometimes you will see stuff on the preview and you think it looks great, or you think it looks one way, and then or it could look bad on the preview. There are examples of that as well. But actually on the real website, it looks different. So always, always, always open up your URL in another tab and always check on it. And ideally, always have your phone, at least your phone next to you to check what it looks like on a phone. If you own a tablet, have the tablet as well. Because the DBWS website, it is responsive, meaning that if you are looking at it on a smaller screen, the layout changes so that it fits on the screen better. But the more you edit it, the more you add in, the more likely you are to introduce elements which aren't responsive. So you have to make sure that anything that you add into any of the text areas, like images or different things like that, or videos, you have to make sure that those still fit on the screen. Okay, so always check them on different size screens. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to tell you 3 top things. I've just told you loads of stuff that I wasn't planning on telling you, but it's all good. Okay, so one other thing that I find really annoying after the smaller edit button is this menu at the side, because it's covering the screen. So the first thing I always do is hide it. Then I'm working on the website and I can't find a save button to kind of like commit whatever I've done to as changes. One example is when you move the calendar around. Okay, so this is one thing that you can do, is that you can move. So at the moment, my calendar is at the bottom of the page, just above the catalogs. One thing you can do is you can move the calendar so that it's the second thing that they see after the welcome message. Okay, so you can do that. The problem is to get that to stick, you have to hit a save button. And if you're anything like me, you're now looking at the screen saying, where on earth is the flipping save button? And it's because you've hidden it, because that menu is in the way. So always remember that there's this save button on that menu that you might have hidden. Okay, because we all know it's really frustrating when you're making a change and you're checking your website and you're like, why isn't it changing? What have I missed? Okay, so that save option there is really useful. Okay, there we go. Okay, right. The first thing that I want to make sure that everyone does that I think is super important is the profile photo. Okay, first thing is the profile photo. Now, partly why that's so important is because if you go to your store using a personalized link, the Stampin' Up website was down in the UK earlier, so this might not work. No, there we go. If we go with a personalized link, that's where that photo comes from. Okay, so if you don't add a photo in DBWS, you don't have a photo on the online store. Okay, and we know that people shop with people, so having that there does make you stand out. So if you are thinking about that demonstrator locator, so if you do a search by name, for example, so we do a search by name, okay, I stand out more than that other person because I've got a profile photo. Okay, geographically, well, they're technically in a different country because they're in England, I'm in Wales. Geographically, they're about 4 hours away from me. Okay, but anyway, but I stand out because I've got that photo there. So that's super important. So one for team leaders, if you are looking for team members in the finder, if they have initials there and you know they have DBWS, get them to add in a photo. If they are initials there, make sure they know that having a profile photo there is one of the perks of DBWS. Okay, so that might be a reason for them to think about signing up. If they are planning to run an online business, obviously, if we've got hobbyists who are just starting out, then DBWS might be further down the journey for them. Okay, because you know, when everyone signs up, what do you want to buy? You just want to buy stamps. You don't want to be spending $13 on DBWS every month. Anyway, so and the same thing goes when you search for location. If you think again, okay, so this is obviously these people are all people with DBWS subscriptions, and I know four of them. That's quite funny. But so it's important again that they've got those photos there, because otherwise they're leaving standing out on the table, okay, because they're paying for this. Okay. So I might come back to that in a little bit. Okay, so to add the photo, you just click. Oh, that's because I didn't hit save. That's all good. There we go. Okay, so I've clicked the little icon. This is how I'm editing my photo. It is crucially important that the photo that you upload is a square. Not close to being a square, an actual square. Because if you are not uploading a square, you will be squashed and squished to fit into a square. So if you are looking like we just saw on that demonstrator locator, see, I said I was going back. Some of these lovely people here, they're not uploading square photos because their photo is distorted. Okay. And it's not something that's going to put people off, it's not anything like that. But I hate photos of myself at the best of times. I don't want a distorted photo of me to be out there if I can help it. Okay. So square photo. What you'll see is that if you don't have a photo, you're a box of retired supplies. You're not even a box of current supplies. Okay. So if I save that with no photo in there, although I do want that washi tape back, that's what shows up here. And you are then initials on the store page. Okay, so your initials on the store page, your retired supplies on this page. So if I want to upload my photo, it's just as easy as just doing choose image. And then if I find my folder, okay, I've got a square photo ready to upload. Now, I'm just being pretentious by having a black and white photo. You definitely do not need to do that. I have resized the photo down. So that's another thing, that if you can take a couple of minutes to do it, that does help. Because obviously I took this photo on my phone, and the photo on my phone is a couple of megabytes, and it's a massive photo. The space on the Stampin' Up! Website is really small. And if you upload a massive photo to fit into that small place, sometimes it can take a while to load. Okay, and it does that like typewriter thing where like it comes up line by line. Okay, so I will shrink a photo down. This one is 1200 by 1200, but you can shrink that photo down to anything that's over 500 pixels is a decent number to keep in mind. The precise dimensions would be 414 pixels square, but that's a ridiculous number to remember. So if you just go with 500, then that would work. Okay. And one thing we can think of with this is that it's an opportunity for brand consistency. So what I said is that people shop with people. So I think that this a personal opinion here, so you're allowed to disagree with me completely. I think that it's more powerful to have a photo of you than it is to have your logo here. Okay. Also, as well, if you think about people's logos in that tiny, tiny space, it doesn't always kind of like show as clearly, whereas a photo in a smaller space, the right kind of photo, a photo of you, portrait style, that's always going to display a bit better. Okay. And if that photo is also what you use across social media, so people are seeing it, they're seeing it on your blog or website if you have one, they're seeing it on your Instagram, they're seeing it on your Facebook, they're seeing it on your YouTube. Okay, it's that recognition, and it's reinforcing who they are shopping with. It makes you a real person. Okay, so square profile photo, definitely do that, because it does make you stand out, and it's something that you're paying for. Okay, number two thing that I would suggest, and I would want everyone to know, and I would want everyone to do, are these social icons in the top right corner. Okay. Now, I know that I use DBWS a bit differently from the average customer, but what I tend to do when I'm working with demonstrators is that invariably, like I'm building someone's website, or I'm doing something, and I will need their Facebook page URL, or I will be like, oh, do you have a YouTube channel? Where do I go? I go to their DBWS. Okay, because I think most people serious, I try and find their DBWS, I Google them, I try and find the website, and I look for their socials. Okay. A lot of demonstrators do not have them there, and it's missing part of your funnel. Okay. DBWS is great for a presence on the internet, but in general, it's not interactive. The customer is not really going to engage with you. You are not really going to move them along the kind of like the getting to know you journey with DBWS. So once they are at DBWS, you want to get them to where they can get to know you better, which is social media and your other website potentially. Okay, so that's why these social icons are so important, because it connects DBWS with what you are doing everywhere else on the internet. Okay, because otherwise DBWS kind of stands on its own. Okay, so it's super easy. So you click to edit, and we have large numbers of icons here. Okay, now the boxes are not intelligent. The box doesn't know if you put an Instagram link in a Facebook box. It doesn't know that you've put the wrong one in the wrong one. When they click on the Facebook icon, if you've put your Instagram link in that box, they will go to Instagram. Okay, so you do want to make sure that the right links are in the right boxes. The other thing is that you can see here really faint, not that one, they're too close in color. You can see that it's telling you what the link structure should be. So it's giving you an example because it means that yours should match. And each of these starts with HTTPS, but it has to start with the HTTPS bit, because if it doesn't, the link will not work. And that's number 2 top mistake made by demonstrators. Number 1 top mistake that I've seen over the years is not a square profile photo. Number 2 top mistake is not putting the links in correctly if they have links here. So what you always want to do is do not try and remember your link, even if you know what your link is. Like I know what my Instagram link is, so I could type it out, but I'm not going to, because that's just asking for me to make a mistake if I'm rushing. Okay. So I'm going to go to Instagram. I'm going to load my Instagram profile. I'm going to feel guilty about how long it is since I've posted. Then I'm going to select my URL and I'm going to copy my URL. Okay. Once I've copied my URL, I know that it's correct, and I know that it's got the HTTPS bit at the beginning, and it's got the www if it needs it as well. Whoops. So I've lost my panel. Okay, so then what I can do is I can just paste it in the box. I'm just going to paste it in the wrong box for a second. Okay, so I'm going to paste it in the box, and I know that that's correct. Okay, but because I'm careful, I'm going to save it. I've got an easy save button. Then I'm going to go to my DBWS and I'm going to click on it and I'm going to check. Okay, always check that you've got the right link in the right place. Okay, but like I said, I just put the right link in the wrong place, so I'm going to go back and delete it. But it worked. Okay, so I checked it and it was all good. Okay, you do not need to have all of the things. Okay, you also do not have to advertise the things if you have them. It might not be appropriate. There's an argument to be made that if you have a private Facebook group, do you want it to be there? You might not. You might want to keep it as actual VIPs and only invite people to the group. Okay, so you might not want it to be here. You might, just because Stampin' Up has given us all of these links is not Stampin' Up saying you have to be on all of these platforms. Because, hey, we know managing one platform is hard enough work as it is. So think about which ones you're on, which ones you want to communicate. One thing that's really important to understand is how this web option works. Okay. And this is what's important here, is that the demonstrator finder will connect to this URL. Now that's not a very obvious explanation for what this means. So right now, they've made changes to this slightly. Right now, you'll see that this doesn't show my web icon. Okay, and it's telling me that this is my default URL for the demonstrator finder. So if I go back to this one here, okay, and if I go up and if I find myself again, there we go, selecting myself. So you'll see that on this profile, I have a visit my website link. And this is what they mean by the link in the demonstrator finder, because if I click this, it currently goes to my DBWS. Okay. However, so then if I go back to where we are managing our DBWS, okay, so I have a couple of options here. If I have a different website, I can change this website to be a different website. Okay. They've added in this checkbox here. But what I would say is if I check this with this URL here, I haven't tested this because this is new since the last time I did this. Okay, so now this icon appears. There is absolutely 0 point in having that icon there linking to the website that you are already on. Okay, so there's no point having that there. Okay, but if I have a different website, I'm going to borrow someone else's website because my website is not live at the moment. I'm going to borrow Lee's website. Okay, so I'm going to just borrow that for a second so that I have a URL that I can pop into this box here to show you how this works. So I can have that there. I can choose to check this or not. I'm actually going to check it because now it's a different website. So it makes sense for my DBWS to have a link for me to send them to my website. Okay, because it's linking my DBWS with what I'm doing elsewhere. Okay, and then if I go back to my demonstrator profile, and if I refresh this, you'll now see that when I click on my profile, come on, catch up. Okay, when I click on my profile and I click here and go to my website, because I've changed in that box, it now takes them to my website here. Okay, so those of you with an external website, you definitely want that URL to be in that web icon. Okay, because you want to be getting people to your website. I'm going to delete this before it causes any confusion. You definitely want to get people to that website where you are sharing that, that regular inspiration, particularly if you are blogging. Okay. Any questions on this option here? No? Good. Okay. Well,
Yeah, the other icons do not show unless you have that link in, correct?
yes, yes. If you do not have a
Okay.
URL in here, the icons do not show. So actually, I need
All
to
right.
delete that one there so that my Facebook one will now disappear because it's empty. The text is a bit too close together in terms of color. So it's quite easy. Like I was looking through this quickly and I thought that my Pinterest was empty. So just, just kind of like be careful with the difference between these two could do with being a bit more pronounced between the example and the actual one. Okay, but always look and think, right, how many icons should I be showing? I should be showing 3, I think. Yes, if I can count. So I should be showing 3. So I've got my 3 there and that's the right number. Okay, cool. Okay, so those are the changes that I think that everyone should be making to their DBWS. Okay, I'm actually going to sneak in another thing now before I talk about the third thing that I wanted to make sure that you knew about. I'm going to talk about signing up for newsletters. So I am very strongly of the opinion that if you are building a business, online particularly, but if you're building a business at all, you want to be building an email list. Because if you are, particularly if you are building online, and you have a Facebook page, you have you have an Instagram account, and you have followers. If the platform goes down, if the platform makes changes, if something happens to your account, you have no way of contacting those people. Okay? You cannot get their information. You are limited to interacting with them on that platform. So what you want to be doing is encouraging as many people as possible as soon as possible in that customer journey from they don't know you at all to they're buying from you regularly, they're joining your team, you want to keep a way of being in touch with them. And that is primarily through email. Okay, that is the easiest way and lowest cost way of doing that. Okay, so you want to be collecting people's email addresses. Now you can collect email addresses through DBWS. In that, if you click, sorry, I should have described what, if you click to edit this option up here, so edit the contact information effectively, there is a box here which enables and disables this sign up for my newsletter option. Okay. Now, if we look at my website for a second, and if I just scroll to the bottom, you'll see that at the bottom of my website, we have the social icons. I haven't refreshed this page, so that's why there's more than 3. So at the moment, that's what's on this. If I go back to here and I click edit and I tick this option and I click save, what I have as well, once I refresh this, is I now have a sign up for my newsletter box. Okay. And also in my contact form under contact me, I have an option here, request my newsletter. That wasn't there before. I should have shown you that it wasn't there before. You'll have to take my word for it. That wasn't there before. So how does this work? When someone puts in their email and they click sign up, what happens? They don't sign up. They get redirected to the contact form and it pre-selects request my newsletter. They then have to fill out this contact form and send it to me. What happens then? I get an email that says so-and-so wishes to join your mailing list. That's great. Now, I use a program to manage my email subscribers because that's sensible. And in terms of data protection and all of those kind of laws around marketing, it is better if the person signs up themselves rather than if I add them myself. Okay, ideally. So what do? I send an email to the customer saying, "Oh, I saw that you'd like to get my newsletter. Can you please fill out this form?" And I give them my sign up form for my newsletter, my real sign up form for my newsletter. And the customer fills it out. They click submit. I'm in the UK, so I have double opt-in turned on, or maybe your email service requires you to have double opt-in turned on, which means that the customer still isn't subscribed. The customer has to click a confirmation email to confirm that they wish to subscribe to my email newsletter list. Now, I'm sorry, my emails aren't that good, okay? They are not worth that much effort for my customer to sign up, okay? The other thing that currently happens, and I don't know if this might change, is that this option here is separate from the option that's in the customer manager. So there is as well in the customer manager a place for your customer to, not customer manager, customer center. Sorry, wrong name, it's customer center. There is a point for them there to subscribe as well. And these aren't connected. And there's no way of us connecting this to an external service. So I don't actually like having this option turned on. Obviously, everyone, you can make your own decision, but what I think is important is that I wanted to explain exactly how it works. So what I would suggest instead, if you equally do not like all of those hoops and hurdles for someone to get onto your newsletter, a different suggestion for you. Any of these text areas that we can edit. So we can edit the welcome message, okay, on the home page. We can edit the About Me page. We can edit the specials page. We can add to the specials page. Specials page is a little bit broken. It's been broken for a while now. And we can make some edits to the join page. Okay, so there are lots of places that we can edit on DBWS. Okay, so for example, if I go back to the home page, I need to get back to the home page. Where's my home button gone? They've taken away my home button for editing. That's incredibly frustrating. Okay, I'm now going to go back and click edit again. Oh, you know where the home button was? It was on that menu that I hid. That's where that home button was. Okay, you will always need that menu. There you go. That's how you get back to that when you get lost and you can't find your home button. Okay, on the home page, for example. So this is just an example of an area that you can edit. So I click to edit and I get a little text box. Okay, I can use this to make it bigger and smaller. So I always find myself trying to work in too small a space. So make it bigger. What I can do is I can add to this and I say subscribe to to my newsletter. Okay, and obviously I can write a really good description to actually persuade them to sign up rather than just saying subscribe. Okay, and then what I can do is I can make a link or subscribe to my newsletter here, subscribe to my newsletter, whichever text I want to be the newsletter, the link. I highlight the text and then I've got my link icon, which is here. Okay, I can click and I can add a link. Okay, so any email service, MailChimp, Constant Contacts, MailerLite, Kit, FeedBlitz, any others that I can't think of right now, Aweber, any others, they will all give you sign up forms that you can link to. So you would go to your email service and you've got your subscribe form that you're already sharing everywhere else, and you would grab that link and you would drop it in the box. Okay, and you would paste that in the box. I'm just going to put, I need a link.
Catherine, what was the link button? I'm trying to find it
Oh,
on
that's fine. So it is the, let me just cancel that.
I'm in the welcome and now
Okay,
I'm
so
the
do
edit.
you see on the second line, it's the third one from the right.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. Okay, so you highlight the text first and then you click the link button. Okay, so then you drop the link in that box. Okay, the other thing that you might want to do, because this is a link to something else, is you can go into Target and you can choose new window even. Okay, so that means that DBWS stays open in one tab and then they open up your sign up form in another tab. Okay, so we pop in the link. I'm not sure if it's going to accept that. There we go. Okay, so I've got my pretend link here so that when the person sees my welcome message, obviously we can add more to the welcome message, but when you see the welcome message, whoops, that link is there. Okay, so what they are doing is they are able to click on that as part of my welcome message. Hey, keep up to date with all the news from me by subscribing to my email list. Because not only is that getting them onto your actual email list rather than just sending you a message to subscribe, but also let's just remember that if I change this messaging, instead of just sign up, I think I've got rid of it, so it's not going to be at the bottom. This just said subscribe. This one here, I can change my messaging. So if I have a free tutorial that I give away when you join my email list, I'm not saying you have to do that, I'm just giving it as an example. You could say that here. So it's not just subscribe, it's get a free tutorial when you join my email list. You also have control over the actual messaging, the actual call to action with that subscribe option. Okay, and that subscribe link, this messaging here, that can go on so many of these pages. I think that it is appropriate to put it on the About Me page because, hey, if you're introducing yourself and talking about your business, you definitely want to be mentioning your email list. I think it can go on the specials page, especially if you're offering a free tutorial, because that's a special offer. That's a special offer that they're getting from you and not from anyone else. So it can go on the specials page. I think you could even argue that it can go on the join page, because when you talk about that, you can say if you are thinking about joining and want to know when there's a special offer, or you want to find out when I host opportunity nights, obviously we wouldn't call them that because a customer wouldn't want to, you'd come up with the right name that would pull in your customers. You could put that on your join page. So your email sign up is on every page and you have full control over what wording goes alongside it. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Where, yeah, I know in the top corner to add your photo, a profile picture,
Mhm.
where do you add that again? Where it's got your name and everything, is that where you click the edit and then you
So
add
the
it there?
profile, no, you're looking for the little camera icon next to the photo.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
tiny little camera icon. It would make far too much sense for it to be with the big edit button.
got it.
Camera icon.
I didn't see it. Thank you.
That's okay. That's awesome. Any other questions? Okay. When it comes to the editor, again, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll do a little bit. When it comes to the editor, and this is not me being an annoying tech person who goes, oh, you don't need to know about this. That's not me being patronizing tech person, okay? Most of these buttons you're never going to use, basically because they don't work, because they're not connected up properly to actually work. So the buttons that you're going to use are the ones that you're going to recognize from Word, Pages, other websites. Okay, so you're going to be using the formatting. Maybe you're going to be using bullets and stuff here. You're probably going to be using the alignment options. We're definitely going to be using the link option. Okay, you might use some of the formatting here as well. Okay, don't worry too much about most of the top row because the only one I can think that you would really use for the top row might be to add an image. Okay, some of these buttons, like we've got a flash button here. Flash was last used in the 90s. I've got no idea why it's still on here. Okay, so the only one you're probably going to use from the top one is going to be the image one. You might use some from these other two rows here. Okay, you can upload images to the text areas. The image upload is a little bit confusing because it asks you for an image URL. And everyone's like, well, I don't have an image URL. And there's not an upload button. That would again make too much sense. So what you do is you click the only button that you've got. So you click the browse server button, and what that does is it shows you all of the images you have already uploaded, and also it gives you an upload button. Okay? So you have to get to the server first, and then you get an upload button and you can upload images. Okay? So that's specifically for adding images to any of those text areas. Okay? You want to be careful with uploading images because images don't automatically scale down when you are looking for things being mobile responsive. Okay, so if you are adding images to any of these sections, you want to kind of limit yourself to 400 pixels wide or thereabouts. Okay, but always check what it looks like. Check what it looks like. And that might actually mean that you choose not to add images in because it might just not be worth it. Okay. Okay. The actual third thing I wanted to talk to you about was shareables. Okay, how are we doing for time? Okay. I don't know how long Linda said it was going to be, but she knew that I'd probably overrun whatever she said. So shareables. One thing that I think was really missing from DBWS for a long time, those of you who've been around for a while, the old version as well, was a project gallery. So we have a project gallery because let's face it, even if we customize the welcome message, even if we update the About Me page, let's face it, we all share and sell the same stuff. The only way that we differ is in what we create with it. So having a space to actually put these on our DBWS is super important. And I always feel guilty when I do this. I really need to clean this up. I can't believe I leave it looking like this and people actually visit my website. But this means that we can share our projects here. Okay? So you want to be able to share your projects. And the way that you do that is if we are editing our page, we can go to edit the page, and this lets us add projects and take projects away and move them around. It doesn't let us create the project entries. Okay, but what I can do here is I can delete projects. I can move projects around. I can change which one is the featured project. So you can see here, this is my featured project. I could make this one my featured project instead, and then it would swap them around. That one you don't need a save button for. Okay.
Along with the picture, though, can you add the tutorial? Or
Yes,
no?
I'm going to show you how to do that. It's all good. I'm going to show you. Okay. So that's just how you manage that page. But then the thing is, you can say, oh, I'm going to click the add projects button. That gives you a list of projects, she says as it pops up. That gives you a list of projects that you can add. Okay. But this isn't where we create them. Okay. So it's kind of like we're just choosing which ones to display. We create them somewhere else. Okay. So we can manage the page there. To create those shareables, we have to go out because we have to go into Business Resource Library. Now, there are two parts to the resource library. There's your files and there's Stampin' Up section. Okay, so we go Business Resource Library. This isn't when we're editing. We've exited out of editing. We're back on the dashboard. Business Resource Library. Okay, has everyone got where that is?
No.
Nope. Okay, so get to this page, get to the home page. So click out of editing your site. So click on the X in the top right corner.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then
Oh, okay. I'm
yeah,
there.
you get back
Thank
to this
you.
one. Okay. So then we go Business Resource Library. Okay. So if you go into My Files, this is where you create the shareables. Okay. So I have all of these projects here. Oh, look, there's something that's actually current. That's amazing. So we can create these different shareables. Now, this is one where I have a very detailed video showing how to do this in my tech help group. Okay. But very, very quickly, what I would do is I would click to add a shareable. Okay. And then I can choose the type. Okay. So Marsha just asked about adding a tutorial as a PDF here. So if I wanted to use this to share a PDF with my customers, I could change my file type to PDF. Okay. So I'm going to give it a title. So I'm just going to call it a tutorial. Okay. October 2025. Obviously, if you have a real tutorial, you can put a proper name in there. My file type is PDF. So then I choose my file, which is my PDF. Okay, so the PDF is the first box. Where's my PDF? That'll do. Okay, so that's my PDF. Then upload asset thumbnail. They mean what photo do you want to show when this comes up? Okay, so then I can choose my photo and it's actually this one. Okay, so I've chosen my photo, I've chosen my PDF. Okay, then I can write my description. So whatever wording I want to come up here, or when I click on it here, whatever shows up here. Okay, so my description goes in this box here. Okay, if I have more information, I can add a link with this handy link icon. So I've got that same pop-up there, so I can link back to something else if I want to. So what some people do is some people add all of their projects here, but they don't really say very much. They're just like, hey, click here to visit the blog. So they're funneling people from their project gallery that might get to DBWS. They're sending them back to their blog. Now, I'm not saying that you would have to do that for every single project because sometimes that's an awful lot of work, but you can decide which projects you want to have on the project gallery that are kind of like a snapshot or a showcase of your best work or anything like that. And you can still just send them back to your website or to your blog. Okay. Now, the shareable link is what's super important. There are different options here. The most useful one is the add to basket, or in all other countries, add to cart. Okay, so it's only called basket in Europe for some reason. Add to cart is what you'll see there. Okay, so when I choose the add to cart option, it allows me to build a shopping basket for the customer, or shopping cart rather. Okay, so it allows me to search for products. So I'm going to search for some random stuff. And I'm thinking about that because I'm thinking about the online class. So I can, it's even got the class that would pop up there. So I can tick. I do not know why the year of flowers dies is coming up for traditions of Christmas, but hey. So I can tick to find the products that match up with this. Okay, so I'm looking for the DSP. I want the DSP to go in there. Okay, and I want the class to go in there. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so I can add my products to that. So then when I can save that. Now, this is one crucial thing here. At the moment, I can save this and it's not going to be visible publicly. Okay, it's not going to be visible publicly at all yet. So I can choose who I share this with. So if someone has paid me for this tutorial, this is a way that I can give them a link to be able to download it, but no one else would be able to find it. If I want it to go to my projects page, I have to tick that box. If I want it to be my featured project, I can tick that box. Okay? These options only come up with the add to cart link. If I choose my site, doesn't come up. If I show external link, doesn't come up. If I choose my store, doesn't come up. Okay? The only projects that are eligible to be on the My Projects page are ones that have an add to cart link. Okay? And that's partly because it makes it shoppable, makes it easy. And that's why I think it's the most powerful link, because it provides your customers with a shoppable cart. Okay? So I'm just going to, because I'm logged in, I'm going to hop over to an incognito browser window so that I can interact with this like a customer. Because if I was to click on this now and try and click on my cart, it would treat me like a demo and it would take me to the demonstrator logged in place. Okay, so I'm going to click incognito window and I'm just going to go to this page and pretend that I'm a customer, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click to view the details. Okay, and then this is what you will see. Why is it not showing my, oh, did I just saved it with the wrong thing. Did I? I swear I just added those cart options. I've just broken it. Let me go back. What am I doing? What have I done wrong? Okay, so this is a good option to show you how you go back and edit. So you find it, you click on it, and you click edit. Then you get that pop-up. Ah, there we go. I deleted my products. That's why it didn't come up. Okay, let me just add something so you can see. It was my fault, not DBWS's fault. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just add one product there. And it's updated my resource. The other place that you can update the cart is if you just click on the resource rather than remembering to use the menu. You can then edit the products here on the right-hand side. Okay, so you can edit them there as well. Okay, so let's go back to my incognito window now that I've fixed what's going on. So what you will see is that that's your description. You click view details, then you have the cart. Now, if there's multiple products, they can choose to select and deselect. So if there's a huge long list, they can choose which ones they want to add. Then the customer clicks add to cart. Then it takes them to my store with me pre-selected as the demonstrator. She says, with the item not in my basket. I think DBWS is having a moment. Okay, DBWS is currently having a moment because that product should be in my cart. If we all notice this not working tomorrow, let's message demo support. Anyway, it might be because it's out of stock. Is the DSP out of stock? It might be because it's out of stock. Ah, there we go. That's why. Okay, DBWS is not broken. It's currently unavailable. So what we should all be feeding back to demo support is that something has to come up when that happens, because that's just, yeah, if it's confusing us, it's going to confuse customers. So yeah, okay. So that's not great. Okay, so that's how those work. What I would strongly suggest, so as I said, oh, I meant to show you something else with that as well. Let me go back to that shareable. Okay, so I click view details. This one is specifically a PDF. So my asset thumbnail shows there, and I have my PDF here. Okay, and they can save as. Okay, and then it will allow them to do that. It would be better if there was a clear save button for this. And this is where sometimes DBWS is a bit strange. That's what shows up if you get to it from the projects page. The other way, as I said, of sharing these is that when you're in DBWS, so if I go back out to show you where I am, DBWS, my dashboard, my resource library, if I click on it, the other way I have of sharing these is by using these links at the top. So if I click this link icon, it's going to give me a direct URL for this shareable. Now, if I open this URL, it actually gives me a much better download button. So I think that one thing we can feed back is those two options need to be a bit more similar, because this one is better when it comes to getting a download rather than that option that we get from the My Projects page. So this is much clearer. Obviously, this is bigger, so you can actually see it rather than that tiny preview before, and you have a really clear download button. Okay, but that's a really nice way of sharing a PDF.
And you can't stretch the screen in the other
I
way?
don't think you can.
Okay.
Haven't tried, but I don't think you can.
Okay.
Let me go back. You can do that, but you
The
can't.
whole box,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
you can't do anything like that. So yeah, that's not. If your description is longer, then the box is bigger. If your cart is longer, then the box is bigger. This doesn't get bigger.
Yeah, it's kind of hokey.
It's a bit odd.
Yeah.
But anyway, so these little things, it's still great functionality. It could do with being improved a little bit more, but it's still great. I still think it's great functionality. Okay. So I know I appreciate that was a whistle-stop tour through creating that. Like I said, I have a detailed video, but what I also recommend is even me showing you stuff, it is so much more powerful for you to just go in and create it and play with it. Don't just interact with it as a demo. Log out, go and interact with it like a customer. Try and break it. Well, don't try and break it, but you know what I mean. Try and do it wrong so that you can see the mistakes that your customers might make, so that you can actually describe things in a way that makes sense. Okay, actually click all the buttons and see what they're going to see, so that you know what their experience is going to be, and then you can decide how you want to use the functionality once you understand how the functionality works. Okay.
Now, Catherine, how did you say though that we can go in to see what the customer sees?
So the easy way of doing it is to just log out. But
Right.
because logging out and logging back in all the time, if you're doing loads of work, that just gets frustrating. So the way that you do it is using what's called a private browsing window or an incognito browsing window. So
And how do you do that?
whichever browser you're using, you will see in the top right corner, there will be a menu.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm in Chrome. So if you can just see where my mouse is in the top right
Okay.
corner.
Yeah.
Okay. If I click that, I've then got this option here, new incognito window.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you've also got if you like keyboard shortcuts, you've also got a quick keyboard shortcut for this. But new incognito window, and what will happen is it will look different. So as long as you're not using dark mode, I don't use dark mode, but you'll see that when I open new incognito window, my browser looks a bit shady. Okay, so this means that this browser window is not interacting with the other one. So I'm logged in the other one. I'm
Right.
not logged in this one. So this means that I can pretend I'm a customer.
So when you log in, though, doesn't it automatically recognize your email
Yeah,
address?
I'm not logging in. So I'm not logging in. I'm deliberately not logging in
Okay.
so that I can see my DBWS and click those buttons as if I were a customer, obviously up to the customer login
So
procedure.
you just go to stamping with Catherine, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
Gotcha.
I just type in my URL, catherinecarroll.stampin'.
Okay.
And I just go there. Yes, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, so that I just do that. I just go there and I can view it as a customer rather than being logged in. Okay,
Got it. Thank you.
cool. So that's really important as well when you are testing your shop links. So when you've used the link generator to create those personalized links, always test them. And test them by going into a private window or an incognito browser window. Because again, if you try and test your links while you're logged in as a demonstrator, it's not a clean test because it remembers who you are. Okay, so make sure that you're doing that. Either do it logged out or do it in incognito. Okay. Any other questions about that? I know that was quick, but there, like I said, there's a detailed video. Have a look at all of that where I've gone through everything, and also just play with it yourself. It's worth it. It's worth getting that understanding of how all the bits work, because then you know which options work and which ones don't for you. Okay. I know this.
Catherine,
Yes.
you're talking about the detailed video. Where do we get that?
So that is in my tech help group.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If you search for DBWS overview in my
Okay.
tech help group, there is a post where I talk about nearly everything that I've talked about this evening, but
Okay.
just in brief. So it would serve as a bit of a reminder for everything, and then it's got links to all my DBWS videos.
Okay.
I need to go back and I need to add my QR code video to it. It's got links to nearly all my DBWS videos.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. I said I was only going to show you 3 things, but it's like I find it really hard to not tell you stuff. I want to tell you everything. So please bear with me a little bit longer. This one could be a mind-blown one. If you go into Business Resource Library, before we were going into the My Files section. This time we're going to go into the Marketing Toolkit. Now, the Marketing Toolkit might look a bit dull because you click in and you go into promotions and okay, I've got loads. Yours will not have as many things in because in Europe we get all of the translations. Okay, it's not that we're getting sneakily loads more things and that you're not getting. Okay, it's only because of the translations. So, but all of these things, hey, they're already on the demonstrator website. There's nothing extra in here. It might be kind of quicker to share, might be kind of quicker for you to download if you happen to be here, but right now, there's nothing special here. But if you go into sample recipes, this is where it's special. Because if I click on sample recipes, and if I click on September online exclusives, I have pre-made shareables for each and every sample that is on the demonstrator website. Sorry, the customer facing website, the store. Okay. If I click on any of these, not only is it a professional photo of the card, but I have, if it loads, it just takes a while to load. I have a cart. The cart will pop up here at some point. It should do. Maybe the cart's not working anymore. I hope they haven't taken away the cart option. I'm saying how awesome this option is and they've stopped doing it. No, there we go. Okay, it just wasn't loading. Okay, so you see that it pre-selects with a full supply list. Okay, that is so much more useful than the PDF of recipes that we have. Okay, because you have individual samples that you can share. Okay, from all of those things there.
When you click that on, are you just double clicking it? Because it's not, the little hand is there, but it's not opening.
Which bit are you clicking?
You said sample recipe September 2025.
Yeah.
Online. Oh, okay. It finally came up. Boy, that took a
There we
long
go.
time.
Okay, it's just taking its time. It's just taking its time.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then, you go back a step and you've got the same for the mini catalog. So every single project that is in the catalog is here as a clear photograph rather than, one that's semi-obscured because they're being artistic on the catalog pages. Okay. So this means that we all have access to photos of projects so that when you don't like the stamp set, you don't want to buy the bundle, you have samples to use to fill your content calendar. I know of one top performing demonstrator who at the moment is almost exclusively using these photos in her business because right now she's not creating very much because she's got health problems. This can be a stopgap when you need it. This can be, when there's a stamp set that a customer would love, but you hate and you don't want to buy it and you don't want to show them stuff, but you want to show them some samples. Okay? That's where this library can really come into its own. Okay? On any of these samples, what you can do is that obviously you can share it directly, but these photographs, once you've opened it, you can save the image. Okay. Sometimes the save image option doesn't work correctly. If that ever happens, you can do open image in new tab, and then you can save it from there instead. Sometimes that original save option doesn't work. But you can save this image to your device and then you can post it to social media, post it to your website, do a roundup post, all sorts of things.
That's powerful. I did not realize that was there at all.
So that's something as well. That's another unseen thing that we're paying for. Okay, that means that it's okay. Yes, we could go to the Stampin' Up! Online store and you can see all of these photos, but you'd have to go through each product individually and save them.
Go ahead, Sue.
Okay?
Catherine, can you get these sample recipes from previous catalogs or only the current ones?
It depends whatever's here.
Okay.
So whichever ones are here, how far back are we going? We're going pretty far back.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We're going pretty far back.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think it's probably related to whether there are still current products in the store. I would imagine that once everything's gone, once nothing in these sections are still for sale, then the sections would go.
So we save it as a favorite, or we download it and then be able to put it on our DBWS.
You want to save the image, so you want to save the image.
Okay,
Okay, and then you can choose where to save it on your computer.
gotcha.
Yeah, and then you can post that.
Is the PDF that they're now sharing with the online exclusives, is it in the resource?
It will be, or it should be. I say it should be. Let me guess where it might be. Is it going to be under products? It should be here somewhere. Oh, there we go. Online exclusives. There we go. Sorry, I just can't see I can't see for looking. This is the problem when you have the translated ones there. You just scroll straight past them. Yes, there we go. So the product list is also here. Okay, so for example, this is a shareable for the PDF for the upcoming release.
Awesome.
So that's there. I don't know if that's easier to find than on the demonstrator website in the product release, but it's nice for there to be two places for us to find it.
I hunted forever. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
and then I get flustered and say, forget it. So then we can put that link, so then we can put it on our blog, we could put it on our Facebook page, in our newsletter, anything,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
us.
So, okay. One reason why you might not want to use this is because you might want to edit it to
Put
add
our
your
information.
So that's the only thing that, you might choose to just download it and actually add your details to this. Then you could upload it under My Files if you wanted to.
Okay.
So you could still upload it under My Files and use it to share this. Okay.
And so to add the QR code to the PDF, I know this is off the subject, but so we can generate the QR code from our DBWS, and then can we add it to this
Not here.
PDF?
Not here. So I've actually done a video showing how to do that. So
Okay.
I did a video on QR codes when the new QR code just when it launched. So there is a video in my group. I need to add it to that DBWS post. What I did with that is that my hope is that it is completely feasible for Stampin' Up! To give us an editable PDF that would be very easy to drop a QR code into. So I hope that that is on their roadmap because that makes sense. But until we get that, I have filmed a video which shows you how to use an online free PDF editor to add your details and replace the QR code on that flyer. Okay.
You're amazing.
And
Do you
then-
ever sleep?
Not this week, thanks to TypePad, but otherwise I do.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I'm sorry.
Let's just say I wouldn't have booked this session in if I'd known that TypePad was closing down.
I know.
We booked this in August, so it was all good. Okay. So one thing I will say, okay, I'm going to get on my soapbox a bit for QR codes. Please forgive me. This is in that video as well. I would not say that, yay, we have a QR code in DBWS. There is nothing special about this QR code generator. There is nothing special about this QR code generator. If it's this, okay, yeah, okay, my QR code looks like an ink pad. Okay, it's still a QR code. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. As long as it works, I don't care. You're going to be making yourself, sometimes you're going to be making yourself more work by coming to use this QR code. If you are creating a flyer in Canva, Canva has a QR code generator. That QR code generator in Canva works just the same as the DBWS one. Okay? There is absolutely, in its current form, whereas it is here, there is really nothing special about this QR code generator. So don't, kind of feel, oh my gosh, I have to use this one, because you don't. Okay? There are sometimes much easier ways of integrating QR code with what you're already doing somewhere else. If you are already using a QR code generator, if it's a free one, whatever, and you like how it works, there is no reason for you to necessarily come and use this one. Keep using what works. Be very careful with this one, because as I show in that video, if I were to use specifically like my ink pad or my card QR code generator and pop it in, let me find that. I need that let me come back to this. So keep in mind what these two look like. Note that the QR code is much smaller than when it's just on its own. If I look at this PDF that we were just looking at a minute ago, I now have to remember where it was. Half the battle is remembering everything is on these websites. If I go to this product list, and as I said, I show this in the video, but just in case you don't want to listen to me talk about it for an hour. If you put that QR code and position it in this tiny space, if you use the ones that are inside the frames, the QR code is too small to work. Because I actually got my husband to print it out and test it, and it's too small to work. So you have to be super careful with QR codes. That, to be fair, this goes with all of them. Doesn't matter which generator you're using. But if you are putting a QR code on something, before you send it out to everyone, print it out and make sure that it's not too small for your phone to scan. Okay? I
Do
think
you,
I missed that.
can you do this PDF and not have it in there?
So you could cover it up. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could, if you were editing this PDF, you could
Uh-huh.
cover it up completely. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I think that a QR code, if your customers know how to use it, and not everyone does know how to use a QR code. Okay, there are still people who don't know how they work. So I would still always put a link. I would still always put a link. If you can put a QR code on something that you are sending to people that's going to be printed out, I would put a QR code on there, because for the majority of people, that will bridge the gap between the print and the online, and it will help them if they know how to use it. The other thing is that, you know, if you can make this, when you edit it, you can make it a clickable link as well as a QR code, so that people who are viewing the PDF online, they don't have to scan it by holding their phone up to the screen. They can click on it. Okay, so you can do that edit as well. But yeah, I would always have your details at the bottom. And I would always put a URL in there. I mean, I know I've talked a lot about personalized links, and that's something that you're paying for. And if you've got DBWS, I often say you should never share a naked link. Never share a link that's not got that personalization with your demo ID at the end. But I kind of think that when you've got it in print, someone's not likely to do all that typing out of all those numbers. So you might choose in print to not have a personalized link and just think that, okay, this is going to my existing customers. They've all got accounts. If they log in, they're going to be shopping with me, so it's okay. So you can be, sometimes you do maybe have to be a bit flexible with how you display that link. Because let's be honest, we're in a suspicious world, and a lot of the time people will see like numbers and things in URLs, and they'll be like, oh, that looks a bit dodgy. I'm not typing that in. So, you know, remember that there is a direct online exclusives link as well. It's not just Stampin' Up /products/categories, whatever. You can also get to the online exclusives by just doing stampinup.com/online exclusives. So that they've created a shortened link for us for that, although it's not personalized. Okay. Awesome. Any other, any questions at all? Because I know I haven't talked about everything. I haven't talked about the calendar. Yes, your calendar. Use your calendar.
Can we,
One thing I
It's
will,
nice that Stampin' Up adds things to our calendar now. That is a plus.
okay, yeah, that is good. You do have control over whether they show. I'm going to talk about the calendar. I'm not going to leave it not talking about the calendar. Let's go back and look at the calendar. When you are editing your calendar, so if you are on the dashboard, and now we have to scroll down to view the calendar, you can choose to hide different things. So for example, this isn't a great example, but if you didn't want your customers to see that there was a Traditions of Christmas live stream coming up, you could come on here and you can actually unpublish that, and it would hide it from your DBWS calendar. So you can unpublish Stampin' Up things that have been published. Okay, what you cannot do, you'll notice that here on the demonstrator view of this calendar, I've got the kits sale. On the customer view of the calendar, that's not there yet. Stampin' Up had to decide one way or the other, and the decision they made was that they weren't going to show things like limited time promotions until they actually start. So on the 6th, that will show in your calendar. You can't publish it when it's not published, so you can't override that. But what you can do is, like I said, you can go into something once it's already published and you can unpublish it. Okay, so if you're feeling like your calendar is too full of Stampin' Up stuff, you can choose what shows. One thing I do want to say about the calendar, because
Catherine,
oh,
hey, is
yeah.
that because you marked it as an SU event and not like a personal event?
No, these are controlled by Stampin' Up. So these just are done by Stampin' Up. I have no control over that. So when
No, I was specifically talking about the kit sale. You were saying like how it doesn't show.
yeah, so that's not that the Stampin' Up event, the orange tagged event as a Stampin' Up event that doesn't show, it's because it's a Stampin' Up one. If I wanted to add it, I could.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you were saying that
Oh,
you had added it.
no, I haven't added it. So that on
Sorry.
my calendar, if it's
Okay.
orange, it
Yeah.
just shows as Stampin' Up. If it's green, I know they're not orange and green, but we know
Yeah, it's yours. Yeah.
that shows as your events. Okay, so those show in a different color. One thing I have changed my mind about over the years with the events is that to some extent, if you want to be seen as an active demonstrator, you have to have events on your calendar. And the good thing is now that Stampin' Up! Put some stuff on there, none of us have empty calendars, so that's good. I also think that there is a risk when you are getting too creative with what counts as an event. We want to be careful with the impression that having an overfull calendar gives as well. Because I think that an active demonstrator who has an event every day, we also want to think about how intimidating that might be to someone looking at that as thinking, I'm a potential demonstrator. Can I do what she does? No, there's no way I can do what she does because look at her calendar, it's completely full. So, I used to think, yeah, you put everything on there. You put your Facebook Lives on there. You put your team meetings. You put this on there. You put there on there. You have a random crafting on a Friday night that no one knows it's you and your PJs unless someone books on. You put absolutely everything on there. But I think there's a balance that you would want to strike between being busy and too busy. When you're just starting, like I say, you put something on there that's maybe not really an event until someone books it. So you're a bit creative to make sure that there are some things on there so that it looks like you're active to, build it and they will come, that kind of idea. But yeah, so you do want to be a little bit careful with that calendar. But, so many people will say that, on one hand, you've got people, like I said at the beginning, who say, I've never had a lead from my DBWS. What's the point? On the other hand, you have people who say, I got a team member because I had stuff on my calendar and other demos didn't. I know I got customers coming to me because they said they were looking for a class and they found it on my calendar. Okay, so that calendar is powerful. And if you're running events, you definitely want it to be on there. But like I said, if you're not at that point yet, you don't have to worry about the calendar being empty because those Stampin' Up events are on there. And let's be honest, it feels like Stampin' Up are giving us 100 different things every single month, so that calendar is not going to be empty. Awesome. Okay, sorry, that is, like I said, I thought I was going to stick to 3 things, but there was no way I was going to stick to 3 things. And I'm sorry that it's gone on rather a bit, but
Do not apologize.
thank
I
you
do not apologize.
for keeping up with that. Awesome. So a kind of like a last chance for any questions. Linda, I don't know if you want to take the spotlight off. And then I
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're a great spotlight.
I'd have done my hair better. It's all good.
It's all good. I so appreciate. I mean, my head's spinning. And I think I will just say, take one thing, don't try to do everything. Catherine said, just focus on your calendar or focus if you want to do on the links or add the PDF. Don't, because it's overwhelming. It's the same way as I've shared with people going online. Just take little bites. And there's lots here. We're going to have it recorded. We can go back and look. We can go look at her videos. And awesome job as always. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And as I said, as I am planning to kind of do like I run weekly Q&A sessions anyway in my group, so you can always just drop into a free session if you've got questions, and you can always come and ask DBWS stuff there. But also, like I said, I'm thinking about having just a dedicated DBWS drop-in every month. So when you've done one thing, you've done two things, and you're like, what on earth was the third thing? What should I do next? Or I've forgotten how to do such and such, and the video doesn't make sense. Pop along to one of those sessions,
So-
and then I can help.
Catherine, where do I find the group? Is it on
Oh,
Facebook?
it's Facebook group, yes. So it's
And
Facebook
what's the name of it?
Tech Help for SU Demonstrators.
In the newsletter that I sent out at the beginning announcing this, I have the link to take you right there.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, Linda.
But if you have any problems, just holler out, Tracy.
Okay, thanks, Linda.
All right. Again, thank you, Catherine, very, very much. And I'm sure all of our heads are spinning a mile a minute of what we can do. And that's what it was intended to. So appreciate it.
My notes make sense.
Well, that's it. Maybe we need our own little group to say, now, what did I write?
Yeah. Well, at least you recorded it, so I can go back now if
Yeah,
it doesn't.
the best thing about
perfect.
having that recording, you can go back, you can slow me
Yeah.
down, you can rewind me, you can pause me, and then you can do the bit, and then you can
Right.
finish up.
Uh-huh.
But
Perfect.
definitely
Thank you.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You are
Catherine.
awesome.
Thank you, Linda.
You all take care.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.